P. Diner, royal YouTube sensation, joins me for this. I mean, P. Diner, what is fascinating to me is that the moon bump story can no longer be ignored. Now, Meghan might try and ignore it, but it's out there in the mainstream. And the fact that Christopher Boozy, the spiritual leader of the Sussex Squad, Meghan Markle's chief troll...
I did, Scott. I thought that this was AI. I thought this cannot be real.
The reason I didn't think it was AI is because it looks like the stomach is fake, where the baby, I swear that's the first thing I...
Royal watchers is because for their children to be in the line of succession, they have to be born by Meghan Markle. It has to be Prince Harry's child. They can't use a surrogate. And so people are saying, we deserve to know if these children are in the line of succession, if they truly came from Meghan Markle and Prince Harry.
If you don't trust palace secrets but still love royal drama, then get ready. This scandal is about to blow your mind. Seriously, what if everything you believed was wrong? Time for the royal receipts. Rumour mill? Try rumour tornado. An anonymous insider claims a hush-hush DNA test shows Meghan Markle is not Archie's biological mother.
She faked the bump, staged the story, and sold the fairy tale. But now the DNA receipts are in, and Meghan Markle's motherhood lie is crumbling fast. Archie's real mother? It's not who she claimed. The royal facade is on fire, and Meghan lit the match.
You have monitors and stuff on you when you're in that situation, so she's got that dress over. But I thought, oh, this is just fake. I don't know why they're doing it. And I realized this is old. I thought it was something new, but it was something that's old.
In the grand tradition of royal births, everything, from the first contraction to the baby's first public photo, is choreographed with precision. The world knows when labor begins. Cameras flash, royal fans celebrate, and after a few hours, the proud couple steps out of the hospital, glowing and beaming, cradling their newborn. It's not just a moment of joy, it's a moment of history, shared with the world.
You know, a couple of years, I guess, or however held it is, and that it was just a bad decision is what it hit me when I saw this. I was just a bad decision a couple of years ago.
Well,
But Meghan Markle and Prince Harry threw that script out the window, and what followed wasn't just unusual, it was downright suspicious. On the morning of May 6, 2019, Buckingham Palace issued a formal statement. The Duchess of Sussex has gone into labor. Royal watchers rejoiced, the media mobilized, crowds gathered, ready to welcome the newest Windsor into the world.
Chime in, but to Scott's point, Harry and Meghan have dealt with conspiracy theories surrounding the birth of their children. And the reason that it's important to royal watchers...
But then, plot twist. Less than an hour later, the palace corrected its statement. Meghan wasn't in labor anymore. She had already given birth. In fact, Archie had arrived 8 hours earlier, at 2:26 a.m. So not only had Meghan given birth long before the palace's announcement, but she had also already recovered, bonded, and supposedly rested, without a single peep reaching the outside world.
Harry, now they have never addressed the rumors head on, I don't think. I mean, I don't think in Spare. Prince Harry actually writes about the stance in Spare, but I don't think he ever addresses the rumors.
Wait, what? The timeline didn't just shift, it shattered, and with it came a tidal wave of questions. Why would the palace release false information? Why claim she was in labor when Archie had been born hours earlier? Who approved that statement? Where was the media? Where were the traditional hospital steps, the medical team, and the historical moment?
Lily were born, came from Meghan Markle's womb. But it is something that I have always tried to be like, I don't want to talk about this. I look at Meghan Markle in that Oprah interview. I see a heavily pregnant and...
The answer may seem simple, but it's the most controversial theory of all, surrogacy. For those watching closely, this was the moment everything started to unravel. The fake labor announcement wasn't just a clerical error. It looked like a deliberate cover-up. It fueled theories that Meghan had never gone into labor at all because she hadn't carried the baby, and that the premature announcement was a smokescreen, meant to distract, to stall, to buy time while they figured out how to introduce a baby the public was never meant to see being born.
That's why that's why these rumors continue to persist.
Royal insiders remained tight-lipped. The media, handcuffed by fear of lawsuits and political correctness, tiptoed around the truth. But the public wasn't buying it. Social media erupted with comparisons. No hospital photos, no medical staff interviews, no records released, just radio silence, and then a baby.
Head on. And both of you, please comment if you have anything to say, but I have read several experts, PR experts on the internet over the last few days that said this video didn't.
Where was Meghan during those 8 mysterious hours? Who was with the newborn? And why did the Sussexes feel the need to manufacture a fake labor narrative at all? This wasn't a case of privacy. This was a masterclass in misdirection.
In fact, it just reignites the conversation. Scott, do you have a reaction? And then Dr. G?
I believe it.
Because in royal history, there have been early births, secret labors, even private deliveries, but never a phantom labor announced after the baby had already arrived. It wasn't just unconventional, it was unbelievable. And as more inconsistencies surfaced, people began to wonder, was this a carefully orchestrated charade to cover up the biggest royal secret of all? The answer may never be officially confirmed, but in the court of public opinion, this wasn't just strange, it was scandalous.
Look real to me. There's so much that's missing from this, as from a body language perspective. Of course, that's the first thing Dr. G and I look at is what's.
There are few images more iconic in modern royal history than the post-birth hospital photo. Princess Diana, radiant and emotional, stepping out of the Lindo wing with baby William. Kate Middleton, 3 times over, smiling in heels, newborns swaddled in royal blankets, the crowd cheering just beyond the barricades. It's not just tradition, it's a rite of passage, a moment that connects the royal family to the people.
Him more from a psychological standpoint than me, but I'm not seeing any stress in there. I'm not seeing two people who.
But when it came to Meghan Markle and baby Archie, radio silence, no hospital steps, no crowd, no doctor, no sleepy, joyous mother holding her newborn beside a proud father, not even the name of the hospital. Instead, Meghan and Harry broke with tradition in a way that didn't feel progressive. It felt calculated.
That connection between the husband and the wife, where he's saying, look, everything's going to be fine because she should be scared to death. As over the years, I've seen so many little babies.
2 days later, the world was handed a single, carefully curated photo op inside Windsor Castle. Dim lighting, stiff posture, an oddly subdued Meghan in a white trench dress, and Harry awkwardly cradling the newborn like he wasn't sure if he should blink or breathe. The atmosphere was cold, no medical staff in sight, no joyful chaos that usually accompanies a new arrival, just polished perfection, and too much of it.
And I've seen that interaction of the parents beforehand. I mean, an inordinate amount of times I've been there to do that. No kidding. And we're not.
Meghan would later claim she didn't want to participate in the archaic practice of posing post-labor in full glam. Understandable, sure.
Not a theory, an alleged royal fact bomb. The palace? Dead silent, but the internet exploding. Why a secret DNA test? Who wanted the truth? And what does this mean for Archie's royal future? Spill the tea. Remember Meghan's Oprah interview? Tears, drama, but not one word about surrogacy.
No woman should feel pressured to slap on a smile and heels hours after giving birth. But here's the real question. If privacy was the goal, why all the misdirection?
Seeing there's too much smiling going on. Another thing that's the first place I go to what's missing.
Why pretend Meghan was in labor when Archie had already been born hours earlier? Why not just say, we're choosing a more private approach? Why the game of smoke and mirrors? Because this wasn't about privacy. It wasn't about breaking tradition. It was about hiding something, and that's what makes this moment so eerie.
A worry in there. There's no eyebrows up and her trying to connect with him to be reassured.
Where were the details? The birth certificate had more red flags than a war zone. Missing hospital information, questionable medical staff, and oddly worded entries. And the image itself? A stark contrast to the royal warmth we'd come to expect. Meghan didn't look exhausted or glowing. She looked strategically placed, controlled, like every inch of that frame had been directed with military precision.
Items laying around the room anywhere when they're dancing around either. So that there's a lot of things that are missing in this that should be there. Way too.
The palace remained quiet. The press complied. But the public? They saw right through it. This wasn't a modern woman rewriting the rules. This was a cover story being packaged and sold as empowerment. And the missing photo wasn't just a break from tradition, it was a missing piece in a puzzle that keeps getting darker. Because when a royal baby arrives, you expect celebration, not a secret. And the fact that Meghan and Harry went to such great lengths to avoid the simple joy of that moment makes you wonder, what were they really trying to conceal?
They're missing that lack of being worn out, because a lot of times it's either early in the morning or late at night. And they look well rested and in a good mood.
All right, Dr.
Let's not kid ourselves. Surrogacy rumors like these don't just spring from imagination. They're sparked by something. And in Meghan Markle's case, there wasn't just a spark. There was smoke. There was fire. There was an entire inferno of visual oddities, timeline inconsistencies, and jaw-dropping moments that left the public stunned and suspicious.
Well, I'm glad you said it. Dr. G, you go ahead and go now.
So obviously I'm a psychologist, not a physician, so there may be physicians out there that are like, yeah, this is totally normal.
From the very start of her pregnancy, Meghan's baby bump became the center of worldwide speculation. It wasn't just that she was pregnant, it was how she looked pregnant. Eagle-eyed fans, body language experts, and even maternity professionals began to notice something strange. Her belly didn't behave like a real pregnancy bump. One day, her bump would appear perky and tight. The next, it would look saggy and almost deflated. At times, it sat high up near her ribcage. At others, it dipped so low it looked weeks behind. People started compiling side-by-side comparisons, and the inconsistencies were hard to ignore.
Fine to me, but my anecdotal experience with my wife, who was very, very large during pregnancy, the idea of her moving like that would have been impossible. She just couldn't have.
But the moment that truly broke the internet, the now infamous bump crinkle. During a royal appearance, Meghan crouched down to greet someone. As she did, her stomach appeared to fold. Yes, fold, like a badly placed prop under her dress. The fabric moved in a way that looked more like foam or silicone than skin. It didn't stretch. It bent. It crinkled.
You know, she was pale, she was swollen, she was very large at the time. The idea of her getting low like that, I just don't.
And within hours, social media exploded. Clips of the moment circulated like wildfire, with some dubbing it the moon bump malfunction. The term moon bump quickly became shorthand for the theory that Meghan wore a prosthetic belly to pretend to be pregnant while a surrogate carried her child behind the scenes.
Could have done it. So it is shocking to me. It does look very strange. Like I said, there may be medical professionals that disagree and say it's totally normal, but to me it looks quite odd.
I mean, but let's be honest.
Could it have been camera angles, poor lighting, a wrinkle in the dress? Sure, it's possible. But then you stack that on top of everything else. The shifting bump sizes between morning and evening events. The bizarre labor lie, where the palace announced she was in labor hours after Archie was already born. The missing hospital photo, defying royal tradition. The oddities on Archie's birth certificate, like the absence of a doctor's name and strange formatting. And suddenly, this isn't just a bad optics issue. It starts to look like something deliberate.
Meghan Markle on how low she can get, okay? Like
That's so true.
Let's look at the glass half full situation here. Congratulations to Meghan. She was able to get pretty low.
Add to that Meghan's unusual ability to bend over, crouch, kneel, and even squat in heels without a hint of strain. While allegedly in her third trimester, any woman who's been pregnant, or anyone who knows one, would tell you that's not just unlikely. That's impossible without discomfort or assistance. So here's the uncomfortable question that refuses to go away. Was Meghan ever actually pregnant with Archie?
Scott, talk to me about the confidence you saw in her, because I saw a lot of confidence in Meghan, in her dancing.
Supporters claim it's cruel speculation. Critics call it a valid investigation. But the truth is this. The visual evidence, the secrecy, and the ever-growing list of contradictions didn't create a rumor. They created a mystery, and Meghan and Harry did nothing to shut it down. If anything, they fed it with every evasive answer, every misstep, and every strange photo.
And it's giving performance.
Yeah, and that's a focused performance as well. Again, she may be in a situation where they're inducing the birth, so she.
This wasn't a couple embracing privacy. This was a couple managing perception, manipulating it, and getting caught in the act. Because when you're under the world's microscope, every fold, every step, every public moment matters. And for Meghan Markle, the moment that bump folded wasn't just a wardrobe malfunction. It was the beginning of a scandal that still refuses to die. And if there's one thing we know about smoke, there's usually fire.
Given this, she's not having contractions, I don't think, at this point, because doesn't look worried that they're going to be more and it's going to be bad.
Just when the dust seemed ready to settle, another bombshell quietly dropped, one that only deepened the cloud of suspicion swirling around Archie's birth. When the long-awaited birth certificate for Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor was finally made public, weeks after his birth, fans and royal watchers pored over every line, eager for answers.
We're seeing all this space between her arms and her torso. I've never seen someone who's getting ready to have a baby.
At first glance, everything seemed standard. Date, time, location, though even that was vague. But it wasn't long before people noticed something off. Meghan's name. On the original certificate, she was listed as Rachel Meghan Markle, her full legal name. Perfectly reasonable, perfectly normal. But then, quietly and without public explanation, that entry was amended.
Their hands are very close, and their hands are close to their chest, their arms are close to their body. It's a protective thing we do.
Her name was erased. Yes, erased. And replaced with the cold, formal title, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. No Rachel, no Meghan, no Markle, just a title. No press release explained the change. No statement from the palace. Nothing from Meghan or Harry. Just a silent, bureaucratic switch that left more questions than answers.
She never denied the rumors. Was that silence just strategy? From fake bumps to doctored certificates, it's looking less like a fairy tale and more like a cover-up.
That anxiety and that stress and that worry going. So the confidence we're seeing it's almost ridiculous.
Why amend an official document after the fact? Why remove her legal name and replace it with a title, especially on a birth certificate? Royal experts were baffled. This wasn't protocol. William and Kate's children all have unaltered birth certificates, with Catherine Elizabeth Middleton listed in full. Never before had a royal mother's name been erased from her child's official record.
Look real from a standpoint of somebody being worried about their baby when that's going on. Neither one of them does. So the eye contact she has with the camera, she's probably just watching herself. And
the timing? Suspiciously convenient. It happened after surrogacy rumors had begun gaining traction, after the bizarre labor announcement, after the missing birth photo, and after public trust had already begun to fracture. So, of course, conspiracy theorists had a field day.
This thing is through the roof because they're under the impression, I would think, that everybody's going to be watching this and look at this. We're having a baby, but man, we've got, we got this covered.
Some believed it was a panicked move, a clumsy attempt to distance Meghan's legal identity from a birth she may not have physically experienced. Others suggested it was a desperate tactic to avoid scrutiny or tamper with public records that might eventually be cross-referenced.
Look for anybody to do.
Yeah, Dr. G, do you feel like...
And then there's the most haunting theory that the name removal was part of a larger orchestrated cover-up, that Meghan's full name was scrubbed to prevent any legal conflict with a surrogate birth, or even to hide the identity of the real mother altogether. Could another woman's name have been on the original certificate before it was revised for public release?
Pretty clear like they're doing this for an audience. It doesn't feel like something that they're doing for themselves that's meant to be intimate and funny that they can go back and watch later. It looks like they're...
Of course, official sources gave the safe, sanitized explanation. It was merely a formality to reflect Meghan's title in accordance with royal protocol. But that falls apart under scrutiny. Why didn't Kate need that same change? Why didn't Diana? Why Meghan? And more importantly, why now? The truth is, this isn't about one little edit. This is about context. When you zoom out and look at the full picture, the false labor announcement, the missing hospital moment, the crumpling bump, and now a quietly changed legal document, what you see isn't royal elegance. It's a web of inconsistencies, a trail of cover-ups, and a family who's been caught again and again rewriting their own narrative, line by line, document by document. This wasn't just a clerical decision. It was a red flag waving in plain sight, and the world noticed.
And frankly, it looks like they're doing it to irritate. At least that's my takeaway. It's like knowing how inappropriate it is, knowing that people...
Fast forward to that moment, the explosive, primetime sit-down that sent shockwaves through the world. Harry and Meghan's interview with Oprah Winfrey. It was billed as a truth-telling session, a raw, no-holds-barred, tear-stained confessional meant to vindicate the Sussexes from the swirling storm of bad press, palace politics, and public scrutiny. At first glance, That's exactly what it looked like. Meghan, dressed in black with white lotus blossoms across her chest, the picture of grace under fire. Harry, somber and loyal by her side. Oprah, leaning in with the gravity of a therapist and the curiosity of a prosecutor.
Or knowing that the royal family will watch it and will feel like it's inappropriate and that it's not something that they should do or should be doing public.
They painted themselves as the victims of a cold, racist, archaic institution. Meghan alleged that someone within the royal family had expressed concerns about Archie's potential skin tone. She cried. She claimed her son was denied a title and protection because of race. The media went wild. The world was divided. But for those paying closer attention, those who remembered the inconsistencies, the secrecy, the suspicious timeline surrounding Archie's birth, this interview didn't clear the air. It fogged it up even more.
Like it was as much to agitate as anything else.
Yeah, I think that you're onto something there. Because, Scott, we know...
While Meghan had no problem addressing race, mental health, and palace politics, she completely sidestepped the growing firestorm of rumors surrounding her pregnancy. Not once did she directly address the surrogacy speculation. Not once did she offer a firm, undeniable denial. Not once did she say, "I carried Archie. I gave birth to him."
The timeline that at this point in time, Harry and Meghan have signed a contract with Netflix, a very lucrative contract with Netflix. And
instead, she spoke in abstracts about trauma, about feeling unprotected, about being silenced. When it came to the basic biological facts of Archie's entrance into the world, she offered nothing, just carefully measured words and emotional pivots. Why? If a global audience is watching, and you know that millions are whispering that you faked your pregnancy, wouldn't you jump at the chance to shut it down once and for all? Wouldn't you say, "Those rumors are false. I carried my son. I gave birth. End of story."
Been secretly recording for this big docu-series that was actually built up over years. They went through one production team, brought on a brand new production team. At almost at the very beginning of the series, you see Harry recording himself on his phone.
Even Oprah, who pressed on so many issues, never asked the question that was already burning across social media. Was Meghan really pregnant with Archie? The omission wasn't just curious. It was strategic, controlled, as if both interviewer and subject knew some doors should never be opened, because what's behind them might blow the entire narrative apart.
Freedom flight on Tyler Perry's private jet. They're escaping the evil royal family. Thanks to Tyler Perry, they're going to go live in his house for free during...
And now, years later, with a bombshell DNA test allegedly showing Meghan Markle is not Archie's biological mother, the interview takes on a whole new meaning. Suddenly, all that vagueness feels like preparation, damage control, laying the emotional groundwork for a truth they always knew might come out. Because if Meghan had denied it outright during that Oprah moment, and this DNA revelation surfaced later, the backlash would be nuclear. But by staying vague, she left the door cracked, just enough to slither out if the truth ever clawed its way to the surface. And now it has. According to reports, this new DNA test, quietly conducted but allegedly confirmed by insiders, suggests that Meghan is not Archie's biological mother. That everything, from the bump to the birth certificate edits to the silent labor to the strategically vague Oprah interview, was part of an elaborate illusion.
And we also see some other intimate moments clearly shot on an iPhone. Harry and Meghan watching themselves back on the during the Oprah Winfrey interview.
The fairy tale wasn't just a little polished. It was fabricated. And suddenly, all the pieces click into place. The modern couple who wanted privacy, they were hiding something. The traumatized mother denied royal protection? She may never have been the mother at all. The Oprah interview we thought was a bombshell of truth? It was a distraction, designed to keep us looking in the wrong direction. The real scandal was never what Meghan said. It was what she refused to say. And now that silence speaks louder than ever. Meghan Markle has never just been a celebrity. She's a narrative architect. From her days running the TIG to her carefully worded letters and Netflix documentaries, she's proven herself a master of image control. She doesn't just navigate the media, she manipulates it.
While they say they want privacy, and while they sue newspapers for invading their privacy, and while they sue photographers for invading their privacy, it seems like they are stocking up on footage to inevitably shill
If these DNA claims are real, this could be the biggest royal scandal in decades. So, is it fact or fiction?
So when Meghan stepped into the royal spotlight, she didn't do it blindly. She came armed with PR experience, Hollywood polish, and an unshakable sense of brand. And yet, somehow, her pregnancy with Archie turned into a chaotic, confusing disaster. Coincidence or calculated?
This was perhaps recorded for the Netflix crew.
Yeah, well, I mean, to me, there's something we can tell when something is authentic. That's just something that
Critics argue this wasn't a fumble. It was a strategy. The phantom bump, the changing timelines, the secretive birth, it all fits a pattern. A surrogate birth would have disrupted the perfect mother and son image. But a simulated pregnancy? A manufactured story? Spun just right? That gives you all the sympathy and none of the stretch marks. It wasn't just a royal birth. It was precision public relations warfare.
we can't necessarily explain why, but we can look at it and go, there's something wrong about this. And that's what so much of what we see is it looks like it's a performance. It looks like it's something that's meant to be seen by other people. So that's very much how I see so much of.
Let's talk legal logistics. If Meghan and Harry did use a surrogate and wanted that fact kept airtight, it's almost guaranteed there was a non-disclosure agreement, NDA. In celebrity surrogacies, it's standard procedure. No interviews, no photos, and no public claims, which would explain a lot. It explains why no woman has stepped forward. It explains why there are 0 leaks, 0 insider tell-alls, and 0 rogue TikToks. The silence isn't just eerie, it's legal. But now, with a leaked DNA test allegedly showing Meghan is not Archie's biological mother, everything changes. If someone broke that NDA, intentionally or not, the legal aftermath will be quiet, brutal, and very, very private. But one thing's for sure, the truth is no longer sealed.
Is that even if it looks like it's supposed to be an intimate moment or something that's caught on camera, it's all set up, it's all prepared, and that's how it feels.
Oh my gosh.
They were very good actors.
I know that
It's easy to focus on Meghan, Harry, the press, and the palace. But at the heart of all this are 2 innocent children, Archie and Lilibet. If this surrogacy cover-up is real, what happens when Archie Googles himself? When Lilibet sees headlines questioning their legitimacy? What happens when they realize their origin stories were crafted not out of love, but strategy? One day, they may feel betrayed, confused, erased. And that emotional fallout isn't just collateral damage. It's the most heartbreaking consequence of this entire saga. Once upon a time, Meghan Markle was the people's princess, a biracial woman standing tall against an outdated institution, a breath of fresh air in a dusty old monarchy. But now, the tide has turned. Across social media, her halo has slipped, and her mask is cracking. Former fans are now full-time critics. Reddit threads dissect her every sentence. Podcasts unpack every contradiction. Even liberal media voices are starting to pull back. If this DNA scandal proves true, it won't just be a fall from grace. It will be a free fall into infamy. Meghan won't just be the misunderstood outsider. She'll be the master manipulator who fooled a nation.
But one of the most cringe parts of the docuseries is Meghan claims she doesn't know she's about to be proposed to, but
let's not forget the money trail. Meghan and Harry's entire post-royal brand, from their Netflix doc to their failed Spotify deals, relied on their authentic royal experience. But if that authenticity was faked, even in part, the fallout will be massive. Spotify already pulled the plug. Netflix is reportedly underwhelmed. Their agency dropped them. And archetypes?
friend FaceTiming, and she takes the phone with her to this elaborate picnic setup Prince Harry has set up outside. And
let's talk bloodlines, because in the royal world, that's everything. If Archie's biological mother isn't Meghan, and this was never disclosed to the monarchy, it raises a constitutional nightmare. Royal succession is about legitimacy. Every name in the line to the throne must be above board, documented, and fully verified. If the DNA results are proven to be true, and not just rumors, this could trigger a royal constitutional crisis. Public trust in the Sussexes is already at an all-time low. Their Spotify deal failed, their Netflix ratings are waning, and their endless revelations feel increasingly staged.
While FaceTiming, and Harry proposes to her, and it's again it's supposed to be one of those authentic moments, and you're like, how are you?
But this could be irreversible. because not only does it shatter their credibility and the monarchy itself, the Sussexes' refusal to address the rumors head-on has backfired, and now their children are caught in a storm they didn't ask for.
Recording your screen while FaceTiming with a friend right before Prince Harry proposes to you. It's just hard for a normal person who doesn't live on camera. Of course.
Meghan and Harry built their empire on storytelling. They claim to be authentic, raw, and real. But with every misleading statement, more people have begun to see the cracks in their tale. This isn't just about DNA. This is about trust. This is about integrity. And if Meghan Markle really did fake a pregnancy, lie to the world, and manipulate the media to craft her perfect royal fairy tale, she's a storyteller who lied to protect her brand, not her child. And in the end, that might be the biggest betrayal of all.
Has all 4 paws up in the air. I whip out my cell phone. That's gorgeous. It's adorable. There's 3,000 pictures.
Because a royal child's legitimacy isn't just a personal matter, it's a national one. Birthright determines succession, titles, security, and public funding. The monarchy, for all its pomp and pageantry, runs on one ancient, unwavering principle: lineage. If Meghan Markle is not Archie's biological mother, and this fact was deliberately concealed from the public, and worse, the crown, then this becomes a case of royal misrepresentation on a scale the palace has never seen. It throws into question Archie's rightful place in the royal family. The authenticity of every photo, press release, and title is tied to his name. The very legitimacy of Meghan and Harry's narrative and their intentions.
Being in my phone, but I don't walk around filming myself, and I am Meghan's age. It's just not something that I normally do.
What's the name of that, Dr. G? Isn't there something where people...
The public already has one foot out the door. Their once sympathetic brand now reads like a tired script. Every bombshell revelation feels more like a performance than a truth. And now, if the DNA whispers morph into hard legal facts, game over.
Of their own show, and everybody else is like the second. They're like members or the second banana in the show.
What young people call it now is main character syndrome.
This wouldn't just shatter public trust. It would humiliate the monarchy, whose silence could be seen as passive complicity. It could launch a legal review into Archie's status. And, for the British public, who've endured everything from Megxit to Oprah, it would confirm their worst fear, that everything was fake: the bump, the birth, the brand, and most heartbreaking of all, the children. Because Archie and Lilibet didn't ask for this. They didn't choose to be pawns in a high-stakes media game. They were born into chaos and raised inside a perfectly curated story. And now, that story is collapsing. When they grow up, they'll have to read the headlines, watch the clips, and wonder what was real and what was scripted. The emotional toll? Unimaginable.
Is the idea that they're the main character. And one thing I'm very curious about is there's so much of this, and I don't want to sidetrack us, but I do wonder.
From the start, Meghan and Harry built their post-royal empire on a single promise: authenticity. They weren't the stiff Windsors. They weren't cold, untouchable royals. They were real people with real pain and real stories. That was their brand. That was their currency.
All that will be able to identify what is and isn't authentic the same way that we can, in a sense, because so much of everything we see online is just fake. My reaction, like I said, immediately to these things is, it's set up, it's fake.
But with every passing interview, every polished Netflix frame, every blurry inconsistency and media deflection, the illusion began to crack. And now, that crack has become a chasm, because this isn't just about a DNA test. It's not just about a birth certificate, or a folded bump, or a missing hospital photo. It's about betrayal, not of the public, not even of the monarchy, but of the very idea they claim to represent. They said they wanted freedom, but they craved control. They said they wanted honesty, but they lived behind layers of lies. They said they left to protect their children, but they built a circus around them.
Have main character energy is probably going to be pretty difficult in a royal family where you are the backup dancer. Like, you are not married to the heir. You are always going to be second fiddle.
And if Meghan Markle truly faked a pregnancy, lied to the public, and used that lie to reinforce her image, elevate her status, and cash in on her royal connection, then what she built wasn't a platform, it was a performance, a fairy tale turned facade, a motherhood myth spun for magazine covers, docuseries views, and emotional leverage.
A lot of why she just, I mean, I look at that video and I go, this is exactly why she was never going to fit into the royal family, because there's etiquette, there's decor.
And at the center of it all wasn't a duchess in distress. It was a woman crafting her perfect brand at any cost. So what happens next? Maybe the palace finally speaks. Maybe lawsuits unfold. Maybe the truth is buried like all royal scandals before it. But here's the truth the public can feel in their bones. You don't get to build your empire on honesty, then lie about its foundation. And if this is the lie that ends it all, then it's the one they told the world with a smile on their face and a newborn in their arms. The mask is off, the DNA speaks, and the truth can't be buried. Meghan played the world, but now the world is playing her back.
Tell us what you believe in the comments. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more royal shockers.